So people don't drive well, which as the newspapers keep on reporting, this has become a high-risk road. Last few years, we've been seeing that a lot of accidents have been reported. So there's always some risk when I travel from Pune to Mumbai or Mumbai to Pune. There's some risk that there'll be an accident to a vehicle, right? I know simply by saying it doesn't happen, and so I can say it 100 times and it will not happen because I said it. So I can say it many times as I want. But there's some risk that there'll be an accident. This chance is how much? Every day from Mumbai to Pune, usually say 10,000 vehicles go. Perhaps more vehicles go. Right? How many vehicles actually end up meeting with an accident? 50% of them? No. 10% of them? No. 1% of them? You know, 1% of 10,000 is how much? 100 vehicles meet with an accident every day? 0.1% is 10 vehicles. Do 10 vehicles meet with an accident on the road? There are 1 or 2 accidents per day at the most. Not more than that. Perhaps there are times there's no accident on the road. There are times there are 1 or 2 accidents. So, a vehicle starts from Mumbai, reaches Pune, it will meet with an accident. We call it success. Statistically, we call it success. I know this has nothing to do with studies. I don't get any statistically defining this, but I need to do it because I need to build on the next distribution with this example. So if a vehicle meets with an accident, I call it success. A vehicle doesn't meet with an accident, which is the outcome that I desire, is a failure. So I often want failures. I don't want any of the successes. Now, there are only 2 outcomes, right? The vehicle goes without accident, vehicle goes, meets with an accident, right? The first vehicle meeting with an accident has nothing to do with second vehicle meeting with an accident. सुबह 2 बजे एक accident हो गया, दोपहर को 3 बजे एक हो गया. Makes no difference, right? They're unrelated events, right? So, what is the distribution? Discrete, obviously. Accident happens, doesn't happen. Which discrete distribution? Suppose I'm interested in probability of say 2 accidents. For a single vehicle going from Mumbai to Pune, what is the distribution? Bernoulli. Right? It's a Bernoulli trial. A vehicle starts, reaches, meets with an accident, doesn't meet with an accident. Single trial, Bernoulli distribution. If I'm asking for say probability of 2 accidents happening in a day, what is it? 5. Now, imagine I have some 20,000 vehicles going from Mumbai to Pune. Okay? So what I'm looking at is n is equal to 20,000. P is close to 0. Right? My n is 20,000. P is say 0.0001. Okay? My n is say 20,000. P is 0.0001. Probability that a vehicle would meet with an accident is really very low. So if I do the binomial, then it would be 20,000 C1 or 2, P that is 0.00001 raised to 2, and 0.9999 raised to 20,000 minus 1, right? I'm writing binomial, but causing a lot of problems to myself. So what is actually happening here? What is happening is my n is approaching infinity and my p approaching 0. My n is close to infinity, my p is close to 0. If my trial is a Bernoulli trial, and when my n is approaching infinity, p is approaching 0, then I can express this as a Poisson distribution. And I can then write this NP becomes a constant. NP becomes a constant. I call this constant lambda. If you recall, NP is also the mean of the binomial distribution, right? So NP has become a constant. I call this lambda. So if I have NP is equal to lambda, which is a constant, then I can write the probability of x taking a value x not as a binomial but as a Poisson, and that would be e raised to negative lambda raised to x upon x factorial. Okay, where e is a universal constant, it is a value of 2.718282. E is 2.71828281 something or 82, you can round up. Okay, this is a constant. This is the base of a natural logarithm that we often take, right? This is the base of the natural logarithm. Right? So this will follow Poisson. Okay. Now there are so many instances where I can actually use Poisson, and Poisson will come handy to me. But before we go to Poisson and do things like this, let's try and work it out and show why this happens. Now my NP is lambda. Okay, before we solve an example of Poisson. So what is my P? P is equal to lambda by n. Right? If NP is lambda, I define NP as lambda, then my P is equal to lambda by n. Right? Now I use this. Now, since n is approaching infinity, P is close to 0, instead of writing Poisson, I write the same binomial stuff. Okay? I write the same binomial thing. What is my binomial? Probability of x. Probability of x is equal to NCx p raised to x 1 minus p raised to n minus x is my binomial. Now I know that p is equal to lambda by n. So let's write lambda by n instead of that. X is equal to NCx lambda by x. So lambda by x raised to lambda by n. Oh, I wrote x, sorry. Lambda by n raised to x 1 minus lambda by n raised to n minus x. Right? Is this correct? Any problem here? No. Now, NCx actually can be written as, and which we have seen, NCX can be, how did we write it last time? N into n minus 1 वगैरह वगैरह. So n into n minus 1, n minus 2 up to n minus x plus 1 upon r factorial is now x factorial, right? Right. So we can actually rewrite this probability of x is equal to, say, n minus 1, n minus 2 up to n minus x plus 1 upon x factorial lambda upon n raised to x 1 minus lambda upon n raised to n minus x, right? We can write it this way. Now we divide this quantity n into n minus 1 वगैरह वगैरह, all this quantity by n from the denominator of lambda by n raised to x factor, right? Lambda upon n into x factor. So we do this, and if we do that, then what is the quantity that we get? If we divide it by this by n, then what do we get? We would get rid of this n, right? So this would only be lambda raised to x, right? So here what will happen, at every place comes n as a denominator. Every place comes n as a denominator. So my expression then would be 1 for this particular thing. I'm taking that 1 out. N n minus 1 upon n. Okay. Sorry. So this would be 1 n minus 1 upon n. This would be x factorial. Now this would move to 2 upon n, because would be n minus 2 upon n, 1 minus and so on and so forth. I have taken 1 out, so that 1 has to be expressed here. So I keep on writing this. This would continue till I reach 1 minus x minus 1 upon n. 1 minus x minus 1 upon n. This is the quantity that would express this. Okay. So once I do this, here I have lambda raised to x as one single quantity. Yes.
This is not fun.
I'm just taking that 1 out. If I divide n by n, I would get 1. If I divide n minus 1 upon n, n minus 1 upon n, then 1 n minus 2, n minus 2, n minus 2 upon n, and so on and so forth up to 1 minus x minus 1 upon n. So I keep on dividing it this by n and keeping x factorial as it is. Okay, so I got rid of this n here. I can express this entire quantity as 1 minus lambda upon n, 1 minus lambda upon n, okay, raised to minus n upon lambda, minus n upon lambda, and this whole thing would be power to negative lambda. Okay, I erase some of the thing. this particular expression I'm writing it here, and 1 minus lambda upon n. Okay, this is my complete. This expression can be written in this way. Fine. This expression can be written in this way. Now, once we specify the point is n is close to infinity and p is close to 0. Once we specify this to be the case, then this quantity approaches 1. Okay, this quantity, we know that this quantity for sure approaches 1. Okay, so this would become 1. Okay, then we also know that this quantity approaches E. This we shall do very soon when we shall try and do the binomial ka mean. Okay, this quantity approaches mean, and this quantity approaches 1. Okay, once we have all these things defined, what we get is 1 upon x factorial, because this quantity has approached 1. Then we get lambda raised to x as it is. We are not doing anything with it. We said that this quantity approaches 1. This quantity approaches E. So we have this quantity reaching to E raised to negative. This whole quantity approaches E, and this quantity reaching to 1. Okay, so this is 1. So this is multiplied by 1. Okay, so which means that this is basically 1 upon x factorial into lambda raised to x into e raised to negative lambda. So the easier way of expressing this is e raised to negative lambda, lambda raised to x upon x factorial. This is what Poisson is. Okay, this is what we wrote to begin with. Poisson is. So what this exercise was all about? This exercise is about, if we define n is equal to infinity, p is approaching 0, then if we write binomial and keep on processing binomial by assuming that there exists a quantity lambda which is n by p, which means that p is equal to lambda by n, and replace it in the binomial and keep on working on it, what we reach to is e raised to negative lambda, lambda raised to x upon x factorial. This is what we reach to, and this is what our Poisson distribution is. So what is the most critical thing? We need to take n to infinity, p to 0. Once we do this, what happens to binomial is Poisson. So the point I wanted to demonstrate is not just that binomial becomes Poisson when n reaches infinity, p reaches to 0, but also the fact that Bernoulli, binomial and Poisson are just transformations or conditions that you put on each of them, and you keep on getting the next distributions. They are highly interrelated, they're completely interrelated distributions to each other, right? Fine. So now the point is we need to use this. This is probability of x taking a value x is equal to e raised to negative lambda, lambda raised to x upon x factorial. Right? Now in cricket or football, there are some very interesting things that happen. In football, you get something called as a penalty kick. What is a penalty kick? You get to hit to a goal post when there is a goalkeeper only there. Suppose we make a small alteration. We remove the goalkeeper from there. and a person is asked to hit the ball inside the goal post. What is the chance that the person would miss the ball? Miss the ball? Very close to zero. Suppose I ask somebody to take 500 kicks to the goal post. So my n is really very large, p is really very small. What is the probability that a person would miss the ball? Poisson. I can work out this probability by using a Poisson distribution function because p is really large, n is really large and p is really close to zero. In cricket, there are bowlers who bowl, particularly fast bowlers are at the risk of bowling a no ball, right? Or illegal delivery. That is overstepping. Nowadays, the rules of overstepping are very strict, and a marginal mistake leads to calling of a no ball, and bowlers are under high pressure of not bowling a no ball and not bowling so many other kinds of deliveries. So the number of no balls have been on the rise, but generally, imagine a test cricket scenario where the rules are slightly relaxed, more in favor of bowlers. What is the probability that a bowler would bowl a no ball? Generally, they throw some 20-25 overs. One fast bowler in one day does almost 20 to 25 overs. 20 to 25 overs is too many balls bowled. Out of which, what is the chance that a bowler would bowl a no ball? Very small, right? And so, a bowler bowling a no ball can be modeled by Poisson distribution. Okay? Since I have not bowled a previous ball no ball, is there a guarantee that I would not bowl a next ball no ball? No. Whether delivery would be legal or illegal or not dependent on the previous deliveries, there is an independence. Fine. Can you give me some more such examples where you would observe psychological variable following a binomial distribution? Poisson. That is, n is really large and p is really small. Which of the psychological variables would follow Poisson?
So image which is displayed for us like 7 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds, and the probability of watching even after 1000 of clarity might not be able to notice what the picture was. So the probability is extremely less.
Yeah, so you send a stimulus below sensory levels and a person detects that stimulus, that probability is really low. Perhaps perfectly it is close to zero because your neuroscience theory doesn't permit you to see it. So, the several variables. Say for example, if I am interested in something like dyslexia, okay, then, and if I take large number of to develop a normative data, I take large number of normal students and ask them to write 2 pages, and I am looking only for say inversions. So instead of W I write M kinds of, right? There are so several other things that I can look for, but I am right now looking only for inversions for the theoretical example. What is the chance that a 6th grader or a 5th grader would invert M for a W? Practically 0. Right? And then if I keep on doing this with several other kinds of spelling mistakes, then the chance that people would be doing this is close to 0. Number of times they would be writing is almost close to infinity. So many times they do. Rarely we do inversions. Whereas with people who have dyslexia, this chance is much higher. So what you can do is you use Poisson, mean and variance, and find out how much of the score away mean is permitted. If the score is far away from mean, then instead of using normal, I can use Poisson and say that the chance of occurrence of these many inversions is practically not likely in case of normal people. And so a person doing so many inversions can be suspected as a person having dyslexia. Okay? And so on and so forth. Like inversion is not the only criteria, there are many other criteria that we need to use, but this is how I would perhaps reason with this. Can you come up with another example?
A child of age 2 and above not be able to walk on his 2 legs, a perfectly healthy child.
Very rare.
Very rare.
But actually, number one, you are assuming walking is discrete, that is, people walk or don't walk. Developmentally, it's a progression, not a discrete event. So I can say that people stand with support, with little support, with support at times, without support. People take 2 steps with support, with little support, with no support. People can independently take many steps without support, but after some time they get tired. People, without getting tired, take lot of steps. Actually, is a continuum. Yeah. So what you define as walking would be the line above which would be called walking, below which can't be called walking. So people who are taking, say, 2 steps without support, still you will say not walking, because you have to take some cut off, right? So fine. So by nature, it's not a discrete variable. Yeah.
The probability of scoring a 0 on an intelligence test. Okay.
Yeah. Probability that your first Raven's progressive matrices item goes wrong. Right? It's the easiest of the possible items. Right? So probability that your first item goes wrong. 0 is like one of the outcomes, because on intelligence test you will get outcome 0, 1, 2, 3, so many. So it's not binomial, it's multinomial. Okay? But let's say first item of Raven's you get wrong. What is the chance? The chance practically doesn't exist, because first item is the easiest of the items. Or people making mistakes in writing their own name spelling. Practically not possible, right? Or people with certain backgrounds, say, had some kind of mental illness diagnosed, all kinds of mental illness diagnosed, attempting suicide is very low. There are only 1 or 2 disorders in which suicide is a criteria, namely borderline and depression. Otherwise, you don't have suicide as a criteria. So the chance that otherwise healthy person would attempt suicide